More moves are coming as reports from multiple insiders have revealed that a shocking New York Rangers trade is on the horizon and could be coming down any day now. It all revolves around one player wanting out of New York, and who that player is will shock Rangers fans. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest, but before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 74% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, of course, second video of the day. There's just so much news coming out around the New York Rangers, and this one is pretty spicy, pretty juicy. It seems as if Zac Jones could be making his way out of New York, and we'll get into it. Now, this is from Frank Saravalli, but this was also reported, and we'll get to it in a second, by Elliotte Friedman. And exactly 2 months out from deadline day, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of players available, and he gets into a bunch of teams. And one thing that was very interesting, and shout out to Phil for transcribing this once again on Twitter, Zac Jones has sat for 6 straight games with a healthy scratch. I didn't realize it was already 6 games. It's unbelievable. And the New York Rangers have officially given him permission to speak with other teams to seek a trade. His frustration was apparent in his comments last week. A well-liked competitor who was looking for opportunity. Now, this sucks to me because I think this is a really good player, and I'll get into why he should be in the lineup over some of the other guys who are in the lineup. And the fact that they want to trade a player with this much upside after just one season of watching him play at the NHL level is pretty absurd to me. I think that is going to be a mistake. Again, I don't think he's a top pairing guy or anything, but the advanced analytics even have him as a third pairing guy and a pretty reliable and effective third pairing guy if you look at the advanced analytics. So again, I think that trading Zac Jones at this point would be an absolute mistake, right? I don't think it makes much sense. And this is comments from Peter Laviolette in terms of what happened in last night's loss to the Dallas Stars in overtime. And you come out of the gate, you're up 3-0 at home, and you don't win the hockey game. You did enough wrong defensively to not be happy with that. And this is what I'm saying. Zac Jones has been scratched for 6 games. When he does play, and when he does play with Braden Schneider, they have been the Rangers' best defense pairing. And now, because you're scratching him, and now because he's scratched, he wants a better opportunity. I don't blame the guy. I don't blame the player. He needs to play. He needs to get better at the NHL level. His comments last week were fantastic. I thought they were amazing. Hey, I'm frustrated because I'm not playing. The only way I'm going to become a better player is by playing. That's the right attitude to have, and somehow he's not in the lineup. But you know who is in the lineup? Keandre Miller making plays like this, saying, hey, you know what? Hey, Lindgren, I got it. Don't worry, I'll make this play. I'll just float this pizza right through the middle, get it intercepted, and then not play my guy hard enough here in the corner, right? Not get the puck off him. And the Stars tie the game late in the third as a result of that play. An absolute pizza up the middle. I mean, the hockey IQ is just not there with some of the players on this defense core. And for some reason, you have Zac Jones sitting in the press box, a guy who's shown a lot of promise in his young NHL career. And now you've given him permission to seek a trade. This is very puzzling asset management to me by Chris Drury, the entire New York Rangers brass. This would be a mistake to me. This is completely unnecessary. This is completely unnecessary. And Zac Jones should be in the lineup. I really am puzzled by these decisions. And this is from Elliotte Friedman in his latest 32 Thoughts written. I was going to say 32 Thoughts podcast, but this is the written version of the 32 Thoughts. The Rangers have gave Zac Jones permission to talk to other teams. There's interest, and he's good enough to take advantage of a new opportunity. One caveat, since he's not a big guy, teams with a smallish blue line are an unlikelier destination. So that is something you can kind of, narrow it down to teams who have bigger blue lines that might be interested in him. But again, this is so puzzling to me that there's interest and he's good enough to take advantage of a new opportunity. Yeah, he is good enough. He should be in the lineup. He should be in the New York Rangers lineup. The fact that he's not is unbelievable. And the fact that the season, I would understand if they were in a playoff spot and he's a young player and they're thinking, you know what, we got to hang on to this playoff spot. We'd rather have experience in the lineup. I would understand. You're not. You're at the bottom of the Metropolitan Division. Give this guy an opportunity to play. What is the problem with giving this guy an opportunity to play? If you look at his stats so far this season, again, nothing really jumps off the page at you. He only has 8 points in 26 games played this season. He's playing quite a bit of ice time, honestly, when he gets into games, which I think is a good thing because obviously when he's played, he's usually playing with Braden Schneider, and they've been the Rangers' best defense pairing. There's no secret. There's no doubt about it in my mind. They've been the best when they've played together, and for some reason, this guy continues to sit. This is a puzzling decision. This would be poor asset management. Doesn't make any sense to me. He's only 24 years of age, and he just made the jump to the NHL at the second half of last year. So this would be ridiculous, completely unnecessary. I can't believe that they allowed him. I can believe that they allowed him permission to speak to other teams, but the fact that it's gotten to this point, I think, is just so unnecessary. But to move on from Zac Jones, some other updates with the New York Rangers. Before yesterday's game against the Dallas Stars, Matt Rempe had been recalled from the Hartford Wolfpack, and the reason this was allowed to happen is because Chris Kreider was put on IR retroactive to Sunday, which allows the Rangers to recall Matt Rempe for tonight's, or last night's game, I should say, against the Dallas Stars, which means it would, he's technically served because he was on the roster, the last game of his suspension, which will allow him to play against the New Jersey Devils in the Rangers' next game, which could have some fireworks. There's going to be some fireworks in that game. Matt Rempe returns. And obviously it's against rivals, New York and New Jersey. So it should be a pretty good game. Could be some fireworks there. And another thing in terms of updates before I get back to Matt Rempe, Filipino, again, looks like he could be dealing with an injury. Peter Laviolette just said it's an upper body injury and he's being evaluated. Repeatedly the same when asked if it was related to any past issues related to concussions. So I'm sure we'll get an update on Filipino either today or tomorrow, probably, a morning skate thing. We might hear something about that, but for right now, it doesn't look, I don't want to say it doesn't look like it's related. He didn't have any comments regarding that, so it looks like he may be okay. But again, it's looking like Filipino could be out with an injury, which is unfortunate. This is a player who's dealing with a lot of injury problems, but he is such a skilled player. If he was able to stay healthy, this guy is such a difference maker for the New York Rangers. So this is really unfortunate, and I wish he could stay healthy, but this is just the fact of the matter, and it looks like, potentially he could miss some time, but we'll see. We'll get an update soon from Peter Laviolette, I'm sure, in the coming days or even maybe hours at this point. But to go back to Matt Rempe serving his suspension, his 8-game suspension, he's back in the lineup against New Jersey. There's going to be fireworks. I'm looking to Matt Rempe as a player to reel it in a little bit. We know what his role is in the NHL. It's a little bit different in the AHL. We know why they bring him up to the NHL and what he's supposed to give the team. He needs to reel it in a little bit, because we saw against the Dallas Stars the last time, he was very effective for a lot of that game, for the entire game, up until that moment that he made a stupid decision and a dangerous play, right? And he's been doing that at the NHL level quite a bit. He's been kicked out of 4 games. He has a ton of major penalties. He already has 2 suspensions, major suspensions in the league. So he's got to reel it in a little bit. There's a lot of eyes on him, but I do believe he can still be a difference maker with his size, with the things that he's worked on in the offseason. He can absolutely be a difference maker. He drew 3 penalties in that game in his last game against the Dallas Stars. So I'm looking for him to do more of that against the New Jersey Devils and less of running guys through walls, because you're almost a foot taller than them anyway. So hopefully he reels it in a little bit. He plays his game. He plays a more effective game. We'll see how that shapes up against the Devils, but I think it was pretty strategic to do this, to place Chris Kreider on IR, to have him serve that suspension so he can come back against the Devils. Could be some fireworks in that game, but let me know what you think of Zac Jones basically requesting a trade. He didn't, full out say he wants to be traded, but he is, granted permission to speak to other teams. There could be a trade on the horizon. Let me know what you think about Matt Rempe, and of course, Filipino. Looks like he could miss some time again. Very unfortunate. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.